Y'all think you know country music? Bet you didn't know this. Can't believe I'm saying this, but this is part 100. I can't thank y'all enough for supporting me and these videos. I couldn't ever thank you enough. I appreciate every one of y'all. Never thought we'd do 100 videos, but here's to 500 more. This is Ralph Mooney. He was born in Duncan, Oklahoma on September 16th, 1928. Now, when he was 12 years old, he moved to California with his sister and her husband, who taught Ralph how to play guitar and mandolin and fiddle. And he heard a song that would set the stage for his entire life to come, The Steel Guitar Rag by Leon McAuliffe. Ralph was so mesmerized by this pedal steel sound, taught himself how to play it on a flat-top guitar using a knife as a slide. Then he just decided he'd build his own pedal steel out of coat hangers and steel rods and wooden planks. Pretty amazing. Now, as he got into his teenage years, he would start playing with some local bands. One of the first bands he played in was Merle Lindsey and his Oklahoma Night Riders. And he had joined Skeets McDonald's band in 1955. But there was a very popular show in LA in the 50s called Squeakin' Deacon radio show. And Ralph had joined the house band for this radio show. Well, they held a talent contest every Sunday at the Compton Ballroom. And there was a 16-year-old boy and his daddy that would come in every single Sunday. And the boy would enter the contest and win it every single time. The prize was a wristwatch. So every Sunday the boy would come in and show off his arm full of wristwatches, knowing that he was about to win another one. That boy's name was Winford Lindsey Stewart. And he won so many of them dang contests that he just started going by Win. And he also had a band, which Ralph would join. They'd play together for the next 4 years, all around Los Angeles. In 1954, Win, who's still by Win but had changed the spelling by this time to W-Y-N-N instead of W-I-N, he got a little independent record deal with Intro Records. And he cut a record. And old Ralph Mooney even played lead guitar on the song I've Waited a Lifetime. Ralph would continue to play with Win and do tons of session work for other records and other artists, but in 1956, he would again do something that would shape his life. Now, I'll preface this by saying old Moon liked to drink. So at some point here, Moon had gotten drunk and run around on his wife. Well, she caught him and she left him. So him and his friend Chuck Seals wrote a song. That song was called Crazy Arms. Around the same time, a man named Claude Cavanis really thought that his wife, Marilyn Kay, could sing. But according to legendary songwriter Hank Cochran, she couldn't sing. But nevertheless, he was making records on her, shipping them out. And old Ralph was playing on them. So Ralph told him one day that him and Chuck Seals had written this crazy song called Crazy Arms. So they cut it on Marilyn Kay and shipped it out. There was a radio DJ in Florida that started playing the song a little bit, and there's getting calls about it. Around about that same time, Ray Price comes through the radio station. And the DJ told him, "Hey Ray, I've got a record that's the worst you ever heard by a woman who sings so bad, but the song gets calls you can't even believe every time I play it." So Ray listened to the song, and he liked it. Then he went and cut it and made it a huge hit. Now, in the meantime, the same year, old Win Stewart got signed to Capitol Records. Win would quickly become one of the main players in what we now know as the Bakersfield sound in country music. By 1961, Win had become part owner in a Las Vegas club called Nashville Nevada Club, and his band is the house band. His band, by the way, included Roy Nichols on guitar by now. Now, this is also the same year that Ralph would lay down one of the most popular steel guitar licks of all time on Win's record of Big, Big Love.
Now can't you tell my love's a growing?
Well, around 1962, a young musician had just gotten out of prison a couple of years earlier, Merle Ronald Haggard, had started showing up at the Nashville Nevada Club. One particular night, Roy Nichols saw Merle in the audience, and he recognized him from somewhere and immediately called for him to come up on stage, handed him his guitar, and said, "Take this son of a bitch and play it for a minute and let me get to the bathroom." Then Ralph Mooney asked Merle if he could sing, which Merle said, "Yes, I believe I can sing something." They sang Cigarette and Coffee Blues. Then they did another song, and then a cover of Marty Robbins' Devil Woman, which ain't easy to sing. Now Merle looked in the crowd while he's standing on that stage, and he saw Win Stewart standing there watching him with his arms crossed, really studying. Win immediately offered Merle a job in his band, offering him double whatever he had been making in Bakersfield if he would sing backup and play bass. So Merle accepted. He played bass in Win Stewart's band for about a year. Then in 1963, Merle got a record deal with Capitol Records and left the band. Now for Merle's first single, he wanted to cut a song that Win had written, so he asked Win for permission. The song was called Sing a Sad Song. Merle cut it, and it peaked at number 19. Pretty big deal.
Song, sad dance, and sing it as blue as I feel.
This record features Win Stewart's band, basically, even Win playing guitar. So it was eventually the Nashville, Nevada Club house band that played on this record. By the mid-60s, Win had developed a really bad drinking problem and a really bad gambling problem. Yeah, Las Vegas probably wasn't the best place to be if you had either one of these. Well, he got bad enough that his own band members voted him out of his own band. So then old Ralph Mooney joined Merle Haggard and the Strangers on the road and in the studio. That's right. Ralph Mooney was the original steel guitar picker in Merle Haggard and the Strangers, and without question, definitely impacted country music and that early Merle Haggard sound that we all know and love. He played on Merle Haggard's first 4 records: Strangers, Swinging Doors and the Bottle Let Me Down, I'm a Lonesome Fugitive, Branded Man. These records are timeless classics, and from the time they was cut, they would impact what we know as country music today, even to this day. Now, Old Moon Stranger's days would come to an end in 1967 when they were on tour up in Minneapolis when a huge snowstorm hit. It was so cold the bus wouldn't start, and even if it did start, you wouldn't get nowhere because the snow was so bad. Well, Old Moon got tired of waiting at the motel and decided he was going to go get the damn bus started and drive himself home. He actually did get it started, but when he did, the driver ran out and stopped him from going anywhere. So after this, Ralph was let go from Merle Haggard and the Strangers. And of course, the legendary Norm Hamlet would join Merle's band in 1967, and he would become the name most associated with Merle Haggard and the Strangers from that point on. Very deservingly so. Norm, one of the all-time greats. Through the rest of the 60s, he still would play off and on with Win Stewart. But one night at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas, Win was playing the big ballroom there when Waylon Jennings' friend and drummer was there, and he heard Ralph playing. So then he introduced Ralph Mooney to Waylon Jennings, and Waylon hired him. So Ralph would join Waylon's touring and studio band in 1970, and the rest, as they say, is history. Ralph Mooney would then play every single Waylon Jennings show and put steel parts and dobro parts on every single Waylon Jennings album, all the way until 1988. But in 1988, Moon had a heart attack, then quit smoking and quit drinking, and basically quit touring. By the 90s, Moon had pretty much retired, aside from the occasional appearances here and there. He lived out the remainder of his life pretty much at home with his wife Wanda and their family. On March 20th, 2011, Ralph Mooney died of complications of cancer, but he left a legacy that nobody else made. I mean, just think of how different country would have been if not for Ralph Mooney. He impacted Merle Haggard's early sound and definitely Waylon during his heyday. And Win Stewart had just as much of an impact. Ralph not only defined the steel guitar, but he reinvented what could be done with it. Don Helms was the first, Ralph Mooney was the best. I appreciate y'all. I hope you share this video with your friends. I thank y'all for 100 of these. I wanted to make it special for y'all. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank y'all so much. I'll see y'all next one.